Okay, let's get it started in here. Burbudo Komar and Pirza Valentin Solovyov. You hear me well right now, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, standings after day one from Grand Prix Pittsburgh. That is modern for you. And let's go from the top. So, Neil Oliver, first on in standings right now at 27 points. That means he's 9-0. It's kind of weird. So he wasn't really featured in coverage on camera, but because they had an interview with his team, which is him, Mike Sigrist, and Tom Martell, and one more player at the very least, and because we know that Tom Martell and Sigrist are both on Amelot Bloom. So I suppose that Oliver is also on Bloom, because that's normally how it goes, because they tested together. Um, then let's go down.
Do you know if there are any tags for the deck? So anything new or is
I
standard?
I believe it's almost the same list as the one that Tom Martell used to win his WMCQ.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty logical choice for modern right now.
It's actually kind of funny that those guys tested together for this Grand Prix, right? And they're also like all on the national U.S. national team for the World Cup.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. So, but sadly for them, no modern. I think it's just Team Sealed and Team Unified Standard, which is bizarre. So that means that people will have to play suboptimal decks just because like they can't just play all of them like free cool decks. We're also gonna touch a bit on standard today, but for this episode of the podcast, so it's more on the modern part. 11th now, Andrew Cuneo. He's on In fact. That's actually Pantheon's team deck right now. Like, though some of those actually chose to play their own decks. Hain also on Amulet Blooms because he actually ran well with it. I believe he at least top 8 at Grand Prix with it, if not won it. I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, face-to-face games and some of the Chinner Falbor guys are on Amulet.
So,
And Pantheon is a lot of them are on Infect or actually Storm, like number 14 here after day one, Reduke, so 24 points, that means 8-1. He's on Storm.
oh, nice.
He's on Storm, and I believe there was a bet involved between him and Huey Jensen, so another one from the Pantheon team, and there was some argument in terms of preparations for tournaments, and Jensen lost that kind of bet, and it's something like, as I heard from the coverage team, so he became forced to run Reduke 75 for 5 consecutive constructed big tournaments.
What?
So he became forced to run the exact list that Reduke would be playing in 5 next big tournaments.
Okay.
So that's why Jensen is now playing Storm as well. And then Brad Nelson is on Infact. I don't know what Kalkana is. I know Pat Cox at 8-1. He's on Blue Red Twin, which is a change for him because he's a Wild Cattle fan. Then Mike Sigrist, I told you, like also 8-1 on Amulet. Craig Vasco, guess which deck?
Nope.
It's Craig Vasco.
Still no.
You know that he in every format he would play some aggressive white deck.
Uh, Kithkin.
No, modern. It's modern.
So.
Green white hate bears.
Uh,
Come
boring.
on, it was such an easy one.
And still boring.
By the way, there is. I don't think we have an access publicly to a deck list yet. Well, probably after the day 2 will complete. There is blue-white hate bears deck with Kira and main deck Medlin Mage.
Well, that's already more fun. So,
Yeah. I'll show you one insane deck now. Well, I gave you a link, but we'll get to discuss it a bit more. And, well, just don't open it yet. Um, so whom else do I know? Like what deck they are at? 21 points obviously means 7-2, so still live. Well, and day 2 and potential. Matt Costa is probably on some blue deck, I would assume, like some Twin or some Grixis control deck. Because for me, he's a blue mage. Who else? Like 24 is still like 8 and 1s. I don't know what Pascal Maynard is on. He tried like all kinds of decks. The last one, I believe, in Modern he tested and recorded playing on Moto was the Reanimator deck, the Grace Vengeance Griselbrand deck with Nourishing Shawl. Ben Friedman, another big pro, is on that deck, but I think he's at least like 7-2. Scapeshift actually is underrepresented everywhere, even despite the Bring to Light. In Moto, in the RPTQs, in like at GPs, it's really underrepresented.
Well, it's understandable why it's in standard, but for modern, well, 5 mana is a bit too much, probably. And it actually requires you to play 4 colors, and it means with the mana base will be too painful.
No, it doesn't really require. Well, yeah, technically, yeah, I guess.
For Scapeshift, it requires 4 colors, and if you want to get any value of the Bring to Light, you're actually forced to play 4 colors and preferably 5.
Okay, Jensen is at 7-2 with Storm.
Are we talking about the Pyromancer Storm?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fine deck, but
like I watched the feature match. I don't know. Maybe it was round 6 or round 7. Andrew Cuneo with Infect was playing against Red Duke with Storm, and it was just really crazy. It was just like really crazy. So game 2, I think Infect was on the play. Both exchanged like turn 1s like Jetax and probes, and Infect deck like just an elf turn 1, right?
Yep.
And the Storm deck like was on the draw. So and no lightning bolt, and like whoops, like I kill you turn 2.
By the way, about Storm decks, any new cards I haven't followed?
Like in the Pyromancer Storm?
Yeah.
Well, nothing really. It's just that maybe some sideboard iterations, but it's very basic. I think like even the sideboard seemed kind of basic.
No JCs?
Really?
Well, it's easy to flip and gives flashback. I don't know.
Well,
that's why I'm asking.
But like, well, you don't have space, and it also kind of dilutes your deck. Like unlike Goblin Electromancer, which you can play the same turn and win.
Well, true, yeah, and Snapcaster would have done better job of it anyway.
Or play Electromancer and then basically win next turn if it survives, like a lot of the time. If you have like decent, like dense hand. So I don't remember exactly who won in their matchup between Infect and Storm, but it was just like a lottery, really.
Yeah, but with so many good Amulet Bloom finishes, if day 1 was like this with Amulet Blooms, I believe they will finally ban the Amulet. It's kinda it was hanging around for quite a while, but the deck just has to be banned.
I saw like Bloom deck on camera in the feature match, really getting wrecked by Grixis control. Well,
the issue about
of course, like Blood Moon
strength. It's about the fact that it can kill you on turn 2. Modern Wizard has this policy. The Modern doesn't allow combo decks to exist that can kill before turn 4.
Yeah, true, but Infect can do that. Storm can do that.
Storm can't actually kill you earlier than turn 3, and it's probably turn 4 to 5 that it kills. And Infect is actually, even though it's combo, it's actually really interactive combo where you can interrupted by killing their guys at quite a lot of points. But Amulet Bloom can just kill you with counter backup on turn 2. That's not really balanced. Even if it's slightly inconsistent, they banned decks in Modern for less. That's why I believe that it just dodged the ban hammer for quite a while, but I don't think it will dodge it this time.
Well, I still think like it's gonna take a little more time. Anyways, I saw it really getting destroyed in that feature match against Grixis Control, where just Inquisition, Counterspell, Blood Moon, Counterspell, like, well, just remand for your Titan, and then just like attack with Vendilion Clique and have a spare remand if you want to recast your Titan again.
Even what? So, it doesn't change the... Well, X wasn't that good of a deck, and they still banned it.
Wow, so many 7-2s, that must be like a really big GP. The whole second page of standings is still like 21 points, so that's 7-2 people who did actually make day 2. Jacob Wilson 7-2 with Jund. Willie Edel 7-2, probably also with Jund. He's famous for that. BBD and 7-2, I don't know what he would play. Kyle Bogames, what was he playing? Because I saw him on camera. He's on Naya Company, I think. That's basically Big Zoo deck. Technically, Martel on 7-2 with Amulet. Matt Nass, I think he's also on Amulet at 7-2. Who else I know of? Arlax at 7-2. What was he playing? He was on Burn. Well, basically the Nakatel Burn. Just Burn with Nakatels. Anybody else? Spotted, or no? What they're playing? Yeah, like it seems quite diverse. Sam Black is on Lantern.
What?
Lantern Control.
Yeah, I remember that deck, but not sure if it's same list. But I remember killing that deck with one once for attacking for 20 turns.
Yeah. So so it's the one that basically locks the game with bells and all those 1-mana artifacts and Incinerant Bridge.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's that one. So if you see something you don't like, you just make them mill the top deck, and they can't attack you because of the bridge, and you just dump your hand, and eventually you just win with a Pirate Spellbomb or just mill them.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's on that deck.
And he doesn't have any draws.
He's at 7-2.
Okay.
And I've heard like from the coverage team he actually practiced that deck insanely on Moto. But he was worried because he was telling the coverage team that oftentimes on Moto he would win with that deck with few seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, play my 1-mana artifact, go. Like, just pass all the time and just mill whatever looks threatening. Okay, enough of this, I think. Let's go to the spicy one. The guy, I believe, didn't do super well, but still, like, I think they recorded a deck tech with him, so people can check that out. It's on the official Wizards like coverage page for the GP. So we're talking about Hulk combo in Modern.
Ooh.
Open one of the links I sent you. I think it's the first one.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yep, and so...
Scroll down to it. It's like, well, a bit lower than in the middle of the page. Zach Elsick and Hulk combo.
Let's see.
It's really crazy, indeed. So, do you see how he wins?
Yeah, I'm just checking the deck. Okay, so it's basically a reanimator with insta-kill.
Yeah, exactly.
It's your typical Hulk combo, but yeah.
So you get the guy with the mannequin or with the footsteps, which is kind of like Glorious Vengeance, but Vengeance only brings legendary guys, so that's why you can't really play that. And also Vengeance Exiles.
That doesn't really matter if you
It
sacrifice
matters for
something.
Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing is that you get your sacrifice outlet by sacrificing the Hulk.
Yeah.
And Vengeance exiles the creature you bring back.
Yeah, but still, Tigram's streaming? Oh my.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Everything else is okay, but that one is kinda. Yeah. I don't think it's going. It looks fun, but I don't believe in that deck.
It's
It seems like it's just a worse version of Reanimator.
yeah, but the thing is that this guy won a GP trial the day before the GP.
Still.
Look at one of the very spicy one-off in his deck list. Top 3 engineer
Where?
in the sideboard. Top 3 engineer.
Why?
In infinite top tiers.
Oh, come on.
Well, let's say they have white ley line, so you can't.
Yeah, I
So
understand that, but yeah, fine.
Because he runs lines himself, and quite a few decks, including Amulet, they run like ley lines in the sideboard, and you can't kill them with Mock Fanatic. So you just bring in like Engineer, which you can fetch with Hulk.
Yeah, I know. It's.
Yeah, just infinite top tiers.
Mm. Well, I don't. Deck is fine, but it's still a reanimator deck. Same strength, same weaknesses. It's basically a reanimator with a twist.
Sorta, yeah. Though you get access like to blue pacts and Easy Charm, because when you go for it, you basically win. And having pacts and Easy Charms is like pretty big deal, I think. Also, I think you get a lot of better cantrips than unlike in the Reanimator deck, because in the Reanimator deck, yeah, you run looting and then you have Terminate Voice and the 2 mana draw 2. But here, with access to blue and Easy Charm, you have a lot of digging, so
Yeah, well,
a lot of proper cantrips.
what was the average turn kill for reanimator?
Well, I guess it can kill on turn 2.
Yeah, I think unlike reanimator, this I also have a fear that reanimator deck won't survive for long. This, on the other hand, seems like a deck that could survive for a bit.
This deck, by the way, if you draw, I'm not sure exactly, but I believe you need to draw all 3 Spirit Guides, and then you can win on turn 1 with this deck. You basically loot faces looting into footsteps, so you need like let's say black land and then 3 Spirit Guides, right? So you get Hulk into the yard, you bring it back with footsteps and win.
Yeah, okay, this can also be, but otherwise, yeah. They should just ban the Pact of Negation, because killing on turn 1 with Pact of Negation back up is a bit unfair.
Yeah, it's a bit unfair, though. I'm not sure if this guy actually made day 2. It's I think I would spot that.
Or he just switched the deck.
But the thing is that it's the guy that either won or top 8'd a GP with Lantern control.
Yeah, well, the deck is fun. I'm not saying anything against that, but still.
Okay, so now I have prepared like few funky, well, at least one funky modern deck. Oh, I didn't like send you the link for that actually. Give me a moment. Okay, there you go. Well, it's the same deck I told it to you about earlier. This one has a bit of a twist to it. For example, sideboard 1 of Laboratory Maniac. And for those of you watching, I should also say that while this is third at SCG Pure Mirror IQ, this kind of deck also top 4 or even won a regional Pro Tour qualifier in Moscow as well. Though I believe that guy had 2 Howling Mines in the main deck, but he didn't have the Water Whale. I think he may have had the Maniac main deck as the second win condition, but I'm not sure. He didn't have this Time Walk with the Awaken, that's for sure.
Well, the deck seems infuriating to play against and fun to play with.
Yeah, you know that Tass is the main win condition here.
Yeah.
And quite often, just one Jace, one baby Jace. That's interesting. I think this deck should run at least 2. It's just too good. It switches on Tassa, etc. Yeah, it's just too good to pass. This one actually runs Cryptic. I think I've seen some lists which don't run it. And Gigatros main deck.
It's good. It's basically a time walk.
Well, yeah, for your opponent, yeah. And for yourself as well, sort of.
Well, yeah, but that's what all of the time warps do at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, sort of.
So when you play turn 5 time warp, you could just as well play turn 5 Giga Draws for 5 mana, which would usually do the same thing.
Right.
And actually it allows you to combo up if you need to, because playing end of turn Giga Draws at turn 4 lets you time warp turn 5 without a worry for counter spells, which this deck usually has problems against, because these types of decks don't survive tempo counter decks like Delver too well. That's why Giga Draws is actually pretty important, and I'm surprised to not see any more Giga Draws inside the board.
Well, because you have Vapor Snack, Spell Pierce, Dispel, that kind of stuff in the sideboard.
Well, yeah, but still.
And then drawing multiple Giga Draws is not particularly amazing.
Why? It's same as drawing time warps.
Sorta, but you're not getting anywhere that far. Well, maybe I'm wrong here. The funny thing is that if they manage to counter Tassi, you still have Elixir to shuffle your deck, and if they manage to counter that, well, you still have part Water Whale, like you can win with the Awaken lands. So there are multiple ways like how you can win.
Exactly 3.
Still multiple ways. So I'm saying that 3 cards, but 3 different ways.
Yeah, true.
Also, another funny story I heard from that RPTQ where this kind of deck won or at least qualified for the Pro Tour in Moscow. So during that tournament, I think the guy with this deck, he was playing against another cool guy whom you know, who I think been on the Pro Tour before, and I don't know like what deck he would be playing, but and he was playing that tournament, but he was just waiting for this guy with Mono Blue to cast and resolve like Tassa, and so he was waiting to see that, and then he scooped. So.
Okay. Well, if you don't have any win conditions, it's pretty pointless to scoop, since there are actually
Actually, what? Can't hear you right now, man. Can't hear you right now. Well, while you're fixing that up, like, I'm gonna move on to... Oh, it's the internet, right. Going to move on to standards. So I'm gonna show you guys these two funny decks. Let's hope it's not gonna take you too long. Okay, you're back.
Hello?
Yeah, so I hear you, you hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now open the second link I gave you. And that's top 8 deck list from the GP Kobe, which just ended, I guess.
Okay, so first list is Abzan, Surprise.
Go to the last two. We already know that the event was won by Atarkared.
Okay, bah.
Exactly. Though a lot of people will be very pleased with those news.
Jace and Gideon in the same deck. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
but look further. Look further. Soaring also, 4 Monastery Mentor, 4 Seeker, 2 Dragonlord Ojutai, and then 4 Duress and 2 Despise main deck for the Mentor. And
Okay.
2 Treasure Cruise and Ruinous Paths just to catch them all. Some cuts, some stances to protect the Mentor. So it's like Esper Mentor deck.
Okay.
Which to me looks pretty amusing, and it's like a guy who top 8'd the event. What I don't exactly understand, though to some extent still, like 2 Knights of the White Orchid in the sideboard. That's pretty funny, in my opinion. So against some aggro decks, just a 2/2 first striker to...
It's actually a pretty good sideboard plan when you're going if you won the first game.
Yeah, not too shabs, because you're most likely guaranteed to get an extra land off the knight.
Yes, plus it fetches duels as well.
Stratus Dancer is a bit
Well,
interesting in the
it's basically
sideboard.
if opponent starts, you get turn 3 Gideon.
Yeah, which is pretty good, I suppose. Or you can...
As well as you can also play Mentor turn 3 because you don't want to play Mentor when you have only 3 mana up.
True, so you can play, let's say, Mentor with a Duress.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually seen this Knight of the White Orchid quite well, not often, but a few times in different sideboards and main decks. It's a good card, just under the radar.
Yeah, Stratus Dancer
It's
is
especially nice
interesting
with
too.
if you have Ojutai Command in the deck.
Okay, your microphone is a bit lagging, or, well, you're again disconnected. So as you already noticed, like, I'm particularly intrigued with Stratus Dancer in there. That's kind of interesting to me too. I guess Ruinous Path is just an extra way to deal with a Planeswalker here. I'm not sure if that's better than an Utterance, because then you get to exile a Hangerback Walker. On the other hand, this costs 3. It kinda does the same thing. What just happened? Did I press something wrong? Not. Okay. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be super amazed by this one. It's like, what the hell happened here? Black White Warriors. Holy cow. Okay, let's try that out. Nope. Okay, now he's there.
Uh,
Right.
it,
Yeah, so your mic is a bit weird right now.
what?
Your mic is a bit weird right now.
Why? What do you mean weird?
Well, the sound is a bit weird, but we're wrapping this up soon, so it's not a huge deal. Okay, I looked at the very last list.
Yeah, well, it was bound to happen at some point. I'm only surprised there are two Gideons, not four. And Wasteland Strangler is fun. With three stasis snares and four silk wraps, it's kinda nice.
Which one?
The minus the Shriek Maw for 3 mana.
Ah, the Strangler, yeah. That's kind of spicy.
Well, it has 7 enchantments to exile
Yeah,
the
which
creature.
is not just that. Look at the Mardu War Reaper.
Uh, which one was that?
Mardu War Reaper.
Oh yeah, sure, that's as well.
So you can exile guys with that too.
Yeah, well, why only three? Why only two? I mean, Wasteland Stranglers. But
Because it's not a warrior.
and because it has enough removal as it is.
Yeah, and it's a free drop.
Yeah. Well,
Versus your aggressive deck with a bunch of like 1 and 2 drops and stuff.
still, I feel like it should have more Gideons. I feel it's just wrong to play two Gideon Aleph Zendikars because
It's not a warrior.
Yeah, but still, I understand it's. I would understand it as a 3-off, but I can't accept it as a 2-off.
Okay, well, do you understand that's a 4 drop in a very aggressive deck with low curve?
Yeah, and 24 lands.
So,
And it's. Well, you're getting to cast it turn 4 to 6, and it's enough to win the game. Still, I believe 2 is a bit not enough.
I guess it was just curve purposes and maybe a bit of budget purposes, although it's hard to think of that with a fully functional mana base with all the fetch lands and proper duels and.
I don't think it's budget purposes. If it were me, I would probably -1 Stasis Snare +1 Gideon for this list.
I think Stasis Snare is more important in his deck than Gideon.
I want to remind, it has already 4 Silk Wraps and 3 Valorous Stances and 2 Wasteland Stranglers. Are you sure you want 3 more Stasis Snares?
You mean 3 instead of 2? Well, look, he already has like Rager, which makes it hard for them to block your guys. Then you have Chiefs that pump your guys. Kitian can do stuff too. Maybe he just wanted to play both versions of Gideon, and he didn't want to cut himself like with multiples of those versions, and he wants the 1-drop more than the 4-drop. I mean, because of all the removal and the fact that he has other pumps and Rager to make stuff hard to block, he doesn't really require the emblem as much as some other decks.
Still, Emblem is pretty important. Well, I can't really say since I haven't played the deck, but I still feel that -1 Stasis Snare +1 Gideon Alley of Zendikar would have been better.
Okay, you know what I really like? Okay, while he has a third Strangler on the board, but because he runs a lot of fetchies and of course the black-blue land and the blue-white land, to fix his major
Disdainful Strokes.
Disdainful Strokes and Negate in the sideboard to give you a bigger shot against mid-range stacks and control. And Ramp as well. Ramp could be tough for this deck maybe sometimes. Especially if it's some version of Ramp with
Mrs. Renewables?
Not just Nissa's renewables, because there are a bunch of different flavors of that deck, and some do run some sweepers.
I feel like just because of the sweepers, well, still, it has to transgress the minds then. Oh, yeah, fine. I was just thinking that maybe more negates, but with two transgress the minds, it's fine. Against Radiant Flames.
Yeah, I suppose so. Negate just one negate and two transgress. Plus, also, you have a lot of stuff, so like one Radiant Flames is not a like insane. Also, you can just use a stance to protect like one big guy for the against Radiant Flames. Also notice that of course he runs Bloodsoaked Champion, and Radiant Flames is not Anger of the Gods, so you can recur those guys. Then Mardu Strike Leader has Dash. And
Yeah, well, the new decks are pretty sweeper proof, so it's not. Well, yeah, I know the deck seems fine, but it's still a straight up aggressive deck, and that's why Tarkaret probably won because it does the same job but faster and better.
could be that. Also, there were two or three Asper Dragons in the top 8, and when people are trying Asper Dragons, you want to be on Atarkarat. It's because the standard GP before that was won by Asper Dragons. The one in Brussels was won by Asper Dragons.
The funny thing is, when everybody's playing Atarka Red, Jeskai Black suddenly becomes the best deck again.
Yeah, although I've seen in standard Super League and in feature matches as well when Atarkarat would just destroy Dark Jeskai, so it's not like strictly
Well,
matchup.
it's. I mean, Dark Jeskai has main deck is fine, but after if you respect the Atarkaret inside a board, Atarkaret has very small chances of victory. I mean, the only hate inside the board for Dark Jeskai against Atarkaret currently is one single rushing cleric and maybe some counters. But if you actually respect the matchup, you will play more rushing clerics.
Yeah, but that's also speaks in favor of Atarkarat because while Dark Jeskai has a good matchup and can have dedicated sideboard to really destroy red decks, but right now it's like shoving away some clerics and such in favor of more like flexible cards.
Yes, as well as in favor of mirrors. Right now, mirror is not an issue. That's why some sideboard slots are actually open.
What do you think like is gonna make Dark Jeskai better in the face of Abzan, which is not gonna go anywhere, but right now it's a little bit on the decline, although on Moto it's still like a big part of the meta game.
Well, the biggest problems in Abzan are actually the biggest issue with Abzan is Gideon and the Hungerback Walker. Technically, Hungerback Walker, the good answer is Jeskai Charm, but the Gideon is the real problem. So something to deal with Gideon, and it needs something that deals with Gideon. Plus, the deck isn't actually bad against Abzan. You just have to be a bit lucky, and you have to make really tight plays. The matchup is difficult to navigate.
Scroll to the middle of that page, and what do you think of the black-white midrange, which is the deck that has been basically popularized by Craig Vesco because he, I believe,
Whose list we're talking about?
black-white. So that's Akihiro Okawa.
Black-white. It actually splashes blue in the sideboard, probably.
Well, because of the mana base, of course.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the two painful truths, and it's obvious it's not straight black-white.
Well,
Yeah, the deck seems good. Deck seems fine.
I think Craig Vesco was ninth at the GP or something with that kind of deck, and then it just took off from there. And a lot of people started playing it on Magic Online, and I've seen it like everywhere in some numbers.
Well, the Knight of the White Orchid is actually pretty good for this deck because if you're starting, you're playing your Gideon before opponents can do anything about it. And if you're second, you still can play your Gideon before opponents can do anything about it. As well as Sorin plus 4 hangerbacks. It's a typical list, but it's probably a bit weak if your hangerbacks and your creatures get removed. But in the world where Abzan mid-range is the king, which is actually what happens right now. Well, before this week, Abzan was the most popular deck. This was pretty solid choice.
Yeah, do you like the free security waste in the main?
It's hard to say. Normally when I'm playing Jeskai or Blue White, I would want 1 or 2 security wastes. But this deck has 4 Gideons and 2 Sorins. 4 is too much, but 3 is probably the correct number for this deck. What I'm curious about is 1 ultimate prize. That seems kind of too random.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that with that deck, you probably want to kill Jace or some early drop because in the late game you have all these powerhouses.
Still, 1 is just too random. And it does have 3 murder scots, so well, for the purposes of mana curve, it's probably fine. I mean, it has the 1 Rhino's path and 4 Seal Crab. Yeah, if you think about the ultimate prize as 5th Seal Crab, then it's probably fine.
Yeah, it kills Jace. It still kills a few creatures from Abzan, like the Den Protector and what else was there? Windmate Rock. So it's not like totally dead against Abzan.
This,
Kills Warden too. Kills Warden.
my opinion on this deck is good in the world of mid range. It kind of tries to be faster mid range with good late game, but in the world of control decks, this might not be good enough.
I don't know, like it has pretty high threat density.
True, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it might not pull its weight because it relies too much on synergy. Like it produces a lot of small guys. If opponent can deal with them, like if a deck has 3 Radiant Flames after sideboard, this deck will have issues.
Yeah, but you have like 7 planeswalkers and you have instant threat in the shape of secure.
Yeah, probably fine, but
Yeah.
like when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking about again Esper Dragons and Jeskai, and both of these decks are probably well, yeah. Jeskai has troubles with Wingmate Rock a bit.
Look also like that sideboard against Jeskai and Asper. You bring in 2 strokes, 2 dispels, 3 duress, 1 negate. So
Technically, it's more. The good part about this deck is being more straightforward than Abzan in being mid range, because it doesn't have any issues with mana like Abzan does.
yeah.
You're getting to cast everything fast and on time, so it's. I understand why it's a good deck, but it feels like 2 color decks, same as the Warrior deck from before. Just don't pack enough punch, so you can go over the top of them. For example, the Eldrazi deck would be kind of difficult for this to deal with, maybe.
Not sure, like Olamog's not gonna matter a whole lot.
Why?
Well, okay.
Exile Hangerback, Exile Gideon.
Yeah, but by the time like they're gonna actually play Olamog, you're gonna have probably more than that. And then again, you have like 3 main secure, So let's say they play Olamok, nuke a couple of your stuff, then you end of turn secure. On your turn, Emblem from Gideon or Sorin Plus and kill.
If you have a golden hand, then yeah, but still, I feel like this deck it's strong, but it's strong in a way that mid-range decks are strong. It has a lot of utility, but how do I say it? It feels like this deck won't. It's easy to get over the top of it. It feels like that. Like this deck would just auto scoop to Hornet Queen if it were in the standard.
Okay, what do you fill of the second list, which is Eldrazi Imp with blue?
Second,
Do you feel like blue is the correct splash color?
it's the most fun Eldrazi deck I have seen, and I don't really know.
Well, you have like Mystic and Gilder for a bunch of like 2-mana ramp spells. You have Kiora to actually dig for the Ulamogs, and then 4 part the water whale, so you have like 4 time
Yeah,
walks.
that's what I'm saying. I saw the deck list. That I think it was this week that on Star City they premiered this kind of deck, and I believe that this is the most fun Eldrazi list I have seen. If I were to play Eldrazi deck, I would play this one. I don't know if it's good, but I like it.
Okay, 2 digs as well, so that you can actually definitely get there. Find your big boom booms. 4 Ugins.
Two Nissas.
Yeah.
Like,
More digging.
Well, like I said, I don't know whether it's good or not, but that's definitely the list I would want to try. I don't like the other Eldrazi lists as much as this one.
Yeah, you get from blue. You get free dispel for your sideboard against control.
Yeah, and the water well is just so good. I really like the card.
Parts. Ah,
The-
the time walk. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is sweet. It's like two attacks from Ulamog. Hello there.
Well, let's just say that when you're casting the Ulamog, the game is decided at that point, not the 2 attacks later.
Yeah, but the thing is that it gives you a way to just kill right there, because you know when you even if they have champ blockers for Ulamog, which doesn't have trample, but when you attack with it, you mill them for 20 cards.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is that usually when you cast the Ulamog, the game board is in a situation where opponent either kills you or scoops to you because of the Exile to Permanence. The mill top 20 comes much rarer than you would assume it to come up.
Okay.
It's important, but it comes up way less than the 10-10 and Exile to Permanence.
Alright.
Still, the deck is of all the decks from this. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, because it looks like more fun.
Yeah. Well, other decks are kind of straightforward mid-rangey decks. They basically do the same things that standard that people were doing in standard. They just randomized cards and colors a bit. It's the decks might be new, but there is nothing new happening in them. This, on the other hand, feels like a slightly different deck and the gameplay.
Do you like the Esper list, the third one that Akio Chiba?
Let me find it first.
The third one, the same page.
Third one is actually Atarka Red.
No, then must be the fourth.
Fourth one. You know, I don't, because it hasn't actually changed from the last time too much. it's same as per Dragons that it was before, so it's kind of boring. I mean, so okay, we just added Jace. Great, great innovation. Sure, sir. Like same as per Dragons from half a year ago. Well, not half a year ago, but you understand my point.
Yeah, because you probably just imply the functionalities of the cards, the strategy, and the mix of types of answers.
Yeah, instead of dissolve, we have scattered the winds. Then we don't have heroes downfall, so we're playing utter end. Then and yeah, 2 painful truths and 4 Jays. That's the biggest innovation in the deck. I know. I'm not saying you don't have. It's easy to build a deck. I'm just saying that the deck list is just too similar to what it was before. It's the same deck as before. It's just evolved a bit. Yes, it was bound to happen.
But it works, and it's
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad deck. I'm not saying it's easy deck to play. I'm not saying. I'm just saying that to me this kind of deck is a bit boring. It's like seeing Abzan. Instead of seeing Abzan 2 years in a row, we're just seeing now. Now it's Esper, which is kind of same.
well, when I looked about a week ago, a bunch of standard deck lists and motto from the standard champs qualifiers and things like that. It was basically just I don't know, felt like 70% Abzan.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling as well, and really nothing new. Esper is just a choice you make. You can play the deck, but there is nothing innovative in playing it.
Mm.
It's just picking the right tools, configuring your deck correctly, playing it optimally and fast enough, but nothing exciting there.
Okay.
Unlike the blue-green Eldrazi, which is kind of exciting.
Mm. I was actually thinking of is it possible to make blue-red top tiers deck playable? At least like for FNM level and maybe for some
For
medium.
FNM level, you can make any deck playable. Winning with it is another question.
Well, let's think of like maybe if not like RPTQs, but I don't know, some local small championships or something like this. Because
Well,
I feel like in a world where okay, there are mass removal spells, but most of the time it's 1-for-1 spot removals and just solid cards. Spamming the board with top tiers is not the worst thing you can do, and with an access to blue you have your counter spells to defend against that. Of course, like the deck lost all the major things, including Ensoul and so on, but there's still Hangerback Walker. Okay, there's no Shrapnel Blast, I believe, anymore. Or is there? No, Shrapnel.
nope.
No, yeah, because it was not M15, it was
That's actually the
M14.
biggest loss of the deck, the Shrapnel Blast, and that's why it's kind of pointless to talk about the deck. It doesn't have reach, and if you want to win with Doctors, just play Blue-Black Aristocrats, which won with Guerrilla Rogue, because technically you're winning with the Doctors. They give you
Not
an
always.
anti-Husk unblockable.
Okay. Have you considered trying out at some point the 4-color rally deck?
If I played with it last season, now it's maybe seems fun, but I'm not sure how good it is.
Well, the GP Brussels, which happened, I think, last weekend, uh, it
Can you throw me the link? I want to check the deck out.
well, basically just go to Vizor's website and go to like, well, daily empty,
That's too long.
daily. Oh, come on. Okay, well, maybe we can find. I mean, show it to people here as well. So yeah, here you see the happy guy with the Tartar ads, and then we just go Grand Prix Brussels 2015. Let's hope it shows it us the page. Pum, pum, pum. Final standings. Well, let's just go to the actual, yeah. So that's final standings, but we want to go to the events. So in Brussels, Esper Dragons won, but top 8 was kind of
Show me the link.
so let's go top 8 backlist tab. Basically, top 8 was a clash between big European team like with Danes and Swedes and the Czech, Slovak cabin crew team, and those were on Rally and Esper Dragons respectively. Okay, there you go.
Let's see.
So the first one you see is basically the Rally one. So
Yeah, as soon as my computer loads it.
Okay, so there were 3 Rally decks in the top 8 and 2 Esper Dragons.
Okay, so Seductive Fateful, Visionary, Catacomb, Traveler Specs. Yeah.
Very straightforward.
Yeah. Maybe seems decent. I don't really know. Probably would want to try it, but I still like the Eldrazi ramp more. But this would come in my second place of the decks I'd want to try playing.
Yeah. Your Absent decks is few Esper Dragons.
Well, at least it found its answer to the Anapenza, because that's just wrecks the deck too much.
Yeah, I mean, you can play around it a little bit.
Yeah, but see, this is Friendful actually solves the problem.
Yeah. It is a nice main deck answer to it.
Another problem with this deck was that it kinda scooped the Doctors and Hangerback Walker, which this Fateful also solves.
Yeah.
So I like the deck. I just, well, I believe the reason we haven't seen this so much is because it's slightly it's less consistent than Abzan and Jessica Black, but it's a fun and good deck nonetheless.
Alright, so let's wrap up this part, and I'll see you in a bit for a very brief, I believe, stand-up materials overview. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Until the next sale.